to all our viewers and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today, a program bringing you all the latest news happening inside the African continent. Now we start straight away with a look at the latest news. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris on Monday confirmed the need to work jointly to promote tolerance, moderation and coexistence amongst religions, civilizations and peoples. We have the details.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi commented on recent controversy over cartoons depicting Prophet Muhammad, saying religious values should be considered. In a press conference with the French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday, President el-Sisi said the freedom of expression should not lead to hurting the feelings of over 1 billion Muslims worldwide. He said also that it was the right of any human to believe in what he believed, but it was very vital not to transgress religious values for humanitarian values. He added that the rank of religious values is much higher than the humanitarian values. Macron, for his part, said that the cartoons are not a message from France to Muslims, but rather a form of expression from a reporter. Macron also said that these acts comply with the law that has been chosen by France's people, saying that many people opposing these cartoons respond to them peacefully. Macron said also that in France we see that nothing can be above man in respect for the human person's dignity.
Also on Monday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, at the headquarters of the mayor of Paris, according to the Egyptian presidential spokesperson, Ambassador Bassem Rodi. The meeting tackled Egypt's experience in major national projects over the past years, exploring cooperation opportunities between Paris. Let's take a look at more details in this report.
Al-Azhar Observatory Combating Terrorism has on Monday praised President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi for speaking out against profaning religious symbols and beliefs during a press conference held with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron in Paris. In a statement on Monday, the observatory expressed his appreciation for the president, stressing that the necessity of stopping attacks against religious symbols under the slogan of freedom of expression. It also praised the president for emphasizing that expressing one's opinion be justification for hurting the feelings of others. The statement also lauded President el-Sisi for asserting Egypt's firm condemnation of all terrorist attacks and stressing that Muslims respect the followers of all religions. The observatory said that el-Sisi remarks come at a critical time when violent crimes against Muslims in Europe are on the rise. President el-Sisi, who is currently continuing his visit to France, confirmed during the briefing that need to work jointly to promote tolerance, moderation and coexistence among religious civilizations and people. Commenting on cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in France, which have recently sparked anger across Muslim world, el-Sisi said religious values should be considered alongside humanitarian values, affirming that these drawings hurt the feelings of millions of Muslims worldwide. Macron affirmed that such caricatures are forms of individual expression and do not represent France.
And for more news, the Al-Azhar Observatory for Combating Terrorism has praised the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi for speaking out against the profaning of religious symbols and beliefs during a press conference held earlier in the day with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. We have the details.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met on Monday with Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo as part of his visit to France, which kicked off a day earlier. The meeting touched upon the Egyptian experience in implementing major national projects over the past few years. They also discussed cooperation prospects between Paris and Cairo and the new cities across Egyptian governorates. Hidalgo expressed to President el-Sisi her hope to cooperate with the Egyptian government in Cairo governorate, particularly on the culture and service fronts. The French mayor also noted that the desired cooperation comes in light of the historical ties between both countries and her country's eagerness to support Egypt's development efforts through exchanging expertise and investment. President el-Sisi also highlighted the major national projects currently underway in Egypt, which he said open room of cooperation with regards to new cities, especially the country's new administrative capital. The meeting also dealt with a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern, especially those related to combating terrorism and radical thought.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest, Mr. Abdel Latif Wahba, journalist. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Abdel Latif. Now, of course, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held talks yesterday with his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron, and of course other top officials. What can you tell us about the outcome of these talks and the visit in general so far?
As you know, it is an important visit to France in that time. As you know, there is a kind of escalation in political situations in Mediterranean,
Yes.
Especially in Libya, and as you know that Egypt did many efforts, and they still to face the smuggling of the mercenaries to Libya, and to face also the terrorist group working in Libya, and Egypt at the same time adopted many initiatives, as you know, to make a round of negotiations between the rivals in Libya. On the other hand, as you know, there is a great cooperation between Egypt and France in many aspects, in energy and also in increasing the bilateral relations, especially how to increase the French investment in Egypt. This is, I think, an important visit for President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi after his visit to Greece last month and so on. So I think this or the state visit to France is a way to discuss all the problem in Middle East area.
Right. In your opinion, Mr. Abdel Latif, why do you see the concern that Egypt is considered a strategic partner to France, and why is Paris concerned or interested to develop its ties with Cairo, specifically during the current time?
Yeah, of course, as you know that we have a historic relation with,
yes.
with France, and a mutual relations in many aspects. This is on one hand. On the other hand, as you know that Egypt is very keen for the stability in the area. And of course, that stability can't be achieved without cooperation with the European countries and with the North African countries at the same time. All these countries, I mean, the European and also some of the countries in the Middle East suffered during last years from the terrorist group,
yes.
and also from the illegal migrations from Africa to European countries. So it is important for the two countries to support their and to empower their ties in many aspects. As you know, at the same time, France is a strategic partner for Egypt in securing the new supply, new energy supply for Europe, especially after Egypt discovered the Zohr and the gas in Mediterranean area. So all the countries want stability in the Middle East, stability in the Mediterranean area. This is, of course, a guarantee for safety, safety provides of the natural gas to European countries.
Absolutely. Now, during the G7 summit that was held in 2019, President Sisi and the French President Macron agreed on expanding bilateral relations, specifically in economic cooperation. How do you see this being translated almost 2 years later?
Yeah, of course. I think Egypt achieved a great portion of the conclusions of that summit. Especially the joint business council of the French and the Egyptians. They are behaving upon what President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Emmanuel Macron agreed to increase their ties. Now we have French and mega French companies working in Egypt, especially in the Suez Canal corridor, also in energy and in other aspects.
Right. Let's talk a bit, Mr. Abdel Latif, about some of the relations that are highlighted, specifically the issue of defense relations with France, which are also a very important part of the bilateral ties between the two nations. How do you see these ties developing recently, and could you shed a bit more light on these relationships?
As you know that after coronavirus and the second wave of the pandemic, every country now, even in Europe or in Africa, wanted to open a new market for its exporters, and also to guarantee some strategic importers, for example. During the last years, I think there is an increase of the trade balance between the two countries. And as you know that at the same time, the Brexit of Britain gave them a chance, to Egypt, I mean, to find a new way for dealing with the European countries. And as you know that Minister of Foreign Affairs and Britain, they signed a new agreement, for example, that gives Egypt the same incentives in dealing with the European countries. They will get it also from the British market and so on.
Right.
So I think to diversify your relations all over the world, this is important for the Egyptian economy.
Absolutely. Mr. Abdel Latif, now France has had a very prominent say when it came to the Turkish provocations in the Mediterranean. Do you expect this issue to be discussed further, and what decisions do you expect to be taken about preventing further Turkish provocations in the Mediterranean, of course, to safeguard gas drilling operations there?
Yeah, of course. As you know, yesterday, when we heard the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi during the press conference, and also President Macron, they agreed on preventing such Turkish provocations for not only for Egypt but also for Greece at the same time. And I think it is important for France, for European countries like Italy, for example, and Cyprus and Greece, to find stability in this area. And as you know that Turkey is trying to change its provocations from Syria, from the other countries, and they wanted to reward it to the Mediterranean area. This is, of course, to cover their failures in many aspects, like the domestic problems, for example, like for deteriorations of the Turkish economy,
Yes.
like their failure in Syria, for example. They are trying to prove for their people that they are still in power.
Absolutely.
And this is, of course, the opposite thing.
Right. Mr. Abdel Latif, now President Sisi's visit also comes after some tensions between France and the Islamic world over remarks about Islam by the French President Macron. And this tension, of course, comes amid calls by Egypt over combating terrorism and extremism, etc. What are your comments on the way that President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi addressed these issues with the French President?
Yeah, I think President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi during the press conference illustrated the Egyptian situations and how Egypt adopt. Hello?
Hear you. Oh, Mr. Abdel Latif. Unfortunately, we lost the call with Mr. Abdel Latif Wahba, our journalist and our guest for this afternoon. Apologies for that. And of course, that's all the time we actually have for today's edition of Africa Today. We do hope you have enjoyed it. And of course, we'll be continuing our coverage throughout the day of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's third day of his visit to France. This wraps up today's edition. My name is Angie Mohamedi. Thanks for watching.